Welcome you all. This is for the first time in the history of any Lit Fest, any panel discussion, that the speaker and the author has asked the moderator to sign his book. So he has come up with my book called Love Curry. Penguin published it. So I'll just sign it and then we start. Welcome you. We welcome you.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you for coming, everyone.
So yeah, we were planning what to talk in this session, what to interact around. And this is part of the script, so don't worry. Yeah, we had decided we'll start with this blast.
No time limit for
Yeah.
us.
So the idea that we figured out on was the only plan will be that we'll not have any plan. So we'll,
That's right.
yeah, so would you like to introduce your book to start with?
Well, the second book, yes?
Yeah, the second book.
Well, the second book, which you can probably see behind us, is a book about Ireland. Slightly different than the first book, which you can also see in the next slide. Yes, the first book was a collection of short stories, all based on fact. The New Dubliners, so it's about people who live in Dublin, but who are not originally from Dublin. Okay, each story, there are 8 stories if I remember well. 8 stories about, each story about a different character who lives in Dublin. As you probably know, Dublin has become, in the last 2 decades, has become really multicultural. So people from around the world come to Dublin to study, to work, to live. So that was what the first book was about. And
When was that, the first one?
Sorry?
When was that? Which year was that? When did you
When
write
it was
that?
published, it was published 4 years ago.
4 years.
So 2014. And the second book, Chips and Sausage, A Guide to Ireland and Her Wonders, as the title suggests, is much more, is lighter, basically, than
It's
the
so
first
close
one.
to Love Curry.
It's lighter than the first one. Because the first one, even though there were 2 or 3 stories that were more humorous,
Yeah.
it was a serious book, okay, very often about serious topics and serious problems, whereas this one, Chips and Sausage, is, well, it's a tongue-in-cheek guide to Ireland.
So what inspired you to promote this in India and coming all the way from Spain, where you are based out of these days?
Well, yes. Well, we try to spread the word as far as possible. So basically, wherever people want to see us, we go. So it's India this weekend, and then it's this month we've got the Asian leg. Let's put it that way, Asian leg of the tour. So it's India now, then Thailand, and then back to Africa. I was in Africa to promote the book in December. So basically, we believe that this book is both for Irish people who can see themselves through, someone else's eyes, and of course for anyone else in the world. Okay, so we want to promote the country through the book, and as I mentioned earlier, Ireland has become really multicultural, with people coming over from, well, anywhere in the world, and it actually works both ways, because there was someone at a recent event in Colombia, I think it was, who said that probably in the world there's no country where there are no Irish people. So it seems like even though Ireland is an extremely small country, yes, 5 million people, Irish people are everywhere.
That's fantastic.
So it's nice to have
Yeah.
people from all those countries.
So is this
in
your first
Ireland.
trip to India?
It's the first trip to India, actually, yes.
And do you plan to collect stories from here also for your next work?
Well, I already have. I had quite some adventures last night, trying to get to my hotel. So that would probably that would probably be at least one chapter of a book, of the next book.
So do you want to restrict yourself towards one genre, or you want to experiment as well? You want to write cross-genre?
Well, to be honest, I don't really have a plan for the next. Well, I do have a plan for the next book, but it will be more connected with my professional life, which is being a linguist, language consultant. So probably in that area, which is probably from the business point of view, is not really the best move. But then, on the other hand, it's more interesting for myself. As you can see, these two books, even though both are about Ireland in some sense, they're both very different, okay? So the third one will be probably even more different than the second one is from the first one.
So have you ever thought of the readership pattern in Ireland and in Spain, where you are currently working? Is there any difference in the readership pattern of both these countries?
The difference in what, sorry?
In readership pattern, the kind of pattern you can identify.
Well,
readers.
interesting question. Irish people, as one of the illustration shows, I don't know if we can move a few slides.
Can we please move the slide?
As one illustration shows, there's one slide with two guys like us talking about books, okay, if we can get to that one. A few more, I suppose.
Is this the one?
A few more. Should be there in a moment.
No problem.
If we can move, yeah, I think it's that one that you've got there. No. One more? Yes, this one. Yes, so as this one shows, Irish people read a lot, okay? So Ireland has always been, well, only recently Ireland has become financially more successful, let's put it that way. Yeah? So for many, many years it was a poor country under the British rule, as we know. And even though Irish people, Catholics, were not allowed to actually attend schools even, Irish people have always you know, found ways to educate themselves, and it's been through reading. Okay, so it's unusual for people who travel to Ireland to go around the country and actually see people, I don't know, waiting at the doctor's office or traveling on the bus and just sitting doing nothing. There's always a book in hand or a newspaper in hand. So even though maybe if you compare the education level that we have in Ireland with some other European countries, maybe there are other European countries where people have
in UK quite a lot, yeah.
Statistically, you know, have more, let's say, master degrees per person. It's always easy and interesting to talk to Irish people because they are all well read. Okay, in Spain, it's a similar situation, I suppose. Actually, as we speak, now in 2 days there's a huge festival called Books and Roses, which is interesting. Probably I should mention it here, where people give each other either a rose or a book. Okay, so kind of showing love to people who are close to you through either flowers or books. So it's a huge book event.
Yeah, I remember there was this city. There is a city in UK and also in South Korea, which is completely a book city. Everything is around books. Only publication houses, press, and museums, bookstores. It's just devoted to writers. That's fantastic. And I remember while my stay in the UK, I used to see the local trains, the tubes, initially I used to get confused whether I've come to some mobile library or a reading room because everybody would carry a thick book.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then when I came back to India, I started buying thick books while traveling.
Yeah.
I never read those, but I used to carry a
Promoting.
thick book with me so that people would think, oh, he's someone intellectually very sound or quite academic. So
And
that,
like you said, it's very often it's really thick books.
yeah.
No, and it's people still carry them.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, and now what kind of stories you think you can carry from India when you go back? And
Well, I've just arrived. I really arrived around 4 or 5 in the morning, 4 hours later than I was supposed to. So this is really the first thing that I can really see, and it's great. Okay, I'm loving this, loving the festival. Congratulations to the organizers. And it's nice to see so many people. So the first impression is lovely.
thank you so much. So we can open this discussion for people, if you, for our audience, if you want to ask some questions. Are you okay to take
Yes.
questions?
Of course,
Okay.
yes, please. There
So
are
you can-
always questions, so please don't hesitate to ask whatever questions you might
You can
have.
ask him any question.
People often people often ask about the publishing industry,
Yeah.
not only in Ireland but around the world, because I suppose these days you don't really publish just in one market. These days you publish sort of globally. So
what's,
if there are
what's your
questions like that,
experience as far as marketing your book is concerned? Like in India, there is a very different story in the publishing landscape over here.
yes.
Is your publisher helping you in promoting your books?
Well, as you can see, bringing me over to places such as India, Thailand, or last month Colombia, Brazil, and so on. They do. Well, we've got a special sort of agreement. So basically, what I don't know if I should be talking about it here, but what I told my publisher was that I don't really want any royalties from this book. Everything should go into promotion. Okay,
fantastic.
so we kind of cover it half and half.
So in India, you can be generous, more generous. Like you'll not get the royalty, and you have to put extra money for promotion.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
you are lucky. So, but good. It's fantastic that you are getting some royalty, and that's being used in the promotion of your
Yes,
book.
it
probably.
goes
Yeah, yeah.
straight back into the book because, as we all know, the gentleman, two panels before us, the gentleman there was talking about how it really works. So, really, writing the book and royalties, it's such a small percentage of everything what we do that there's no even point bothering about
Yeah,
it. Yes?
yeah.
So as we said, it's better to put this money back into the book, into different ways of promoting it, and at least I have a chance to travel the world and meet interesting
Yeah,
people.
that's fantastic. So, do we have questions?
Hello,
Hey, it's not on.
can we get the mic?
Hello, hello. Hi, Daniel. I'm Smita. We've been in touch on social media. I'm so glad you came, first of all.
Thank you for
Most
having me.
warm welcome to you. So what motivated you to come to Litofest in India? You must have heard of a lot of other festivals, I'm sure. But I think we are in touch since last 3-4 months. And finally, you took a call to come down to you and your publisher, Tom.
That's right. Yes. Well, so it's all organized by my publisher, but I love attending book events, festivals, going into bookshops. So any opportunity that I can get to be in places like this, I just grab it before it escapes. So as we mentioned, it's the first time in India for me, so that's an extra bonus, and I'm looking forward to exploring it for the next 2 days. But tomorrow I'm here all day listening to other talks.
So we have some very interesting panels today and tomorrow as well. What is your next book plan? What are you planning to write next?
I'm thinking about something connected with my profession, which is linguistics, language, and so on. So very different from this. However, in this book, as you probably know, one of the chapters, one of the biggest chapters, is titled Language, the second last chapter, and there are 6 or 7 illustrations about and comments about the English language used in Ireland. So it's still somehow connected with my professional life, but I suppose the next book will be 100% connected with it.
Any other questions?
Any more questions? We would love to take some questions from the audience because they're always really interesting.
Everyone is so satisfied by all your answers. All their curiosities are now.
Okay, for the single ladies here, are you single, Daniel? Maybe then they will have some questions for you.
Are you single?
Well,
Such a difficult
I'm
question.
in the
isn't it?
process of changing that. Well, changing into
Priorities?
stop being single.
Okay. Is in transition mode.
Yes, transition process.
Yeah, in the process. So, but would you like to go for freelancing activities?
Freelancing activities.
Anyways, bringing it back to the serious discussion, do we seriously have any other question or we can wind it up? Because people don't have much questions.
I have a question for you, maybe.
Oh yeah, please.
Or maybe for the audience.
I love to be questioned.
Do we actually have anyone from Ireland here in the public? I thought someone was raising a hand, but it's a cameraman. No, anyone who has visited Ireland? You have.
She has visited,
yes, yes. And how was your experience? It's interesting. Yes. Can you say that again, please? The first part, at least.
It was fun because I did the entire paddy wagon tour from the north to the south, and it was fun to, like, of course, staying, drinking, having fun. But, yeah.
She said that she actually loved it, and it's interesting. We always mention it at events. It's interesting to see that even though Ireland has this image of a place that is always wet, it's always raining and sort of cold, but people love it. So no matter where they come from, be it Brazil, Venezuela, places in Asia, everyone loves it. Yeah, so I always tell the same thing, mention the same thing in events like this one, that probably 98% of feedback that I get about Ireland is extremely positive, like this one, yes? And the remaining 2 or 1% is really what we show in one of the illustrations. Maybe we could go back a few slides. I ask those people, if someone says, well, I've been to Ireland and it was a so-so experience, I'm really surprised, okay, because it's really unusual to hear this sort of feedback. And then my next question always is, when did you visit? Because I immediately expect them to say January or February. So if you want to visit Ireland one day, never go there in January or February, because it's really cold, it's winter in Ireland, it's cold and it's kind of depressing, it's grey. We've got one illustration that maybe we will get in a moment. Can we go a few slides back? Yes, this one actually, yes. So there's this chapter in the book which is titled Tourist Mistakes. So the mistakes that tourists make in Ireland. And this illustration is the first one. It says, visiting Ireland in January. Because this is what it looks like, yes? It's wet, it's sort of cold, not extremely cold. It's not like in Scandinavia, there's no snow. Well, this year there was a lot of snow, exceptionally, but a lot of wind and rain. So don't go there in January or February, but also not only because of the weather, but also because of the the customs that Irish people have, which is celebrating Christmas a lot, so basically celebrating Christmas through December and spending really a lot of money, and then January is sort of quiet, no one really goes out, there's nothing
What's the best time
in
to visit
theaters.
Ireland? What's
The best time? Yes, good question. So that would be Irish summer is slightly, the Irish calendar is slightly different than the rest of Europe in the sense that summer starts officially in May. And that's really the best time, May and June, okay? July probably as well. August can
So
already
if we plan to have an Ireland chapter of Litofest, it should be in the month of May, I believe.
It should be May, that would be
Yeah, that
perfect.
would be fantastic, and you
Or,
can
or
host this.
June, yes.
Or June.
In June we've got Bloomsday, which is a week-long festival,
Wow,
as you know,
so we can club with that.
about Ulysses. So probably not to clash with that, we could organize it in May.
That's a fantastic idea. So do we have more questions? Oh, you have one.
Lovely.
Please pass the mic.
And in the meantime, have you been to Ireland?
Not yet. No.
But you lived in England,
I lived in
right?
England, but I have plans to go. That's why I was trying to
Yes.
know the best time.
It's just a short jump now from... Hello. Can we get the mic for that lady?
Mic, please. Yeah.
Hello, hi, my name is Kritika. So it is generally said that writers write during night, you know. So they get the ideas during the night hours. But there are a lot of other writers who prefer to write during daylight hours. So when do you write more, or when do you actually prefer to write more?
When? Well, it depends. So in this book, as you can probably see, there's not really that much text. So there wasn't a lot of writing involved. Where, well, there are certain illustrations where there's a bit more text. When do I write? Well, for this book, which is just a regular book with a lot of text, I would just write it in the evenings or at night. But also I remember a month off, and I went to my parents' summer house, which is by the sea. I went there alone for a month, and I just
to finish your work.
And I just kept writing. So probably in that time, in a month, I wrote around, I would say, probably something like 30%, or maybe something between 30 and 40% of this book. So you can write quite a lot in a month, yes, if you kind of lock yourself.
So there's no fixed time as such. Whenever, you have motivation, you should write. Like in my case, it depends upon the kind of advances come.
I suppose it's important to take advantage of those and make the most of those times when you feel motivated and inspired, yes. And it can happen at any time. So it's nice to always have, a full battery on your phone or your laptop or, a pen and paper just to make the most out of that time. Personally, these days, I do quite a lot of writing while traveling, so being on the plane, yes? Like last night, what was it, 9 hours, so you can do quite a lot of work.
Do you also
and it's great that
write
there's no internet, right?
Do you also write in cafes?
In cafes, not that much, no. At home.
In Bombay, we find many actors who pretend to be writers, and they they can write anywhere. So yeah, I think we should conclude this. One last question that
Unless
we are
we've
ready
got
to
more
take.
questions, yes.
One last question, if you want to ask Daniel.
Thank you for that question, by the way.
So thank you for being such a nice audience. Daniel, thank you so much coming all the way from
Thank you for having
Spain
me.
and sharing your experiences from
Great.
Ireland. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pankaj Dubey and Mr. Daniel Zuchowski. Can we please request Ms. Smita Parekh to felicitate them?
Thank you.
Please put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for Ms. Smita Parekh.